This is the sun. The sun releases heat and light in the form of electromagnetic waves created as a result of the release of energy of the fusion of hydrogen nuclei to helium nuclei. This is the photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect is the release of electrons from a material caused by electromagnetic energy. If a photon has enough energy, it can knock off an electron. The collision process produces the photoelectric effect. The reason the solar panels direct current and not alternating current is because the electrons flow in one way from the sunlight and not back and forth like alternating current. A PV cell is basically a solar cell. Due to its size, it only produces 1 to 2 watts of energy. However, if it's connected to other cells, the power can increase. That's how you get like modules or arrays. So this is a hybrid solar system. The solar panel, it kind of connects the energy. The inverter converts it to like alternating current if you need it for your house, and then it powers your home. And then these equations tell us how much power is being generated, the force behind the flow of electrons, the rate at which electrons are flowing, as well as the resistance to the flow of current. So a load is connected to the solar panel and it affects the amount of power that's produced by it. Electrical energy is the power an atom's charged particles have to cause an action or to move an object. So if the solar module is wired in parallel, it'll increase the amount of amps in the system, but if it's wired in a series circuit, then it's used to increase the voltage of the system. Okay, so for our HFE package, we decided to choose 1 refrigerator, 1 oven, 8 LED ceiling lamps, 3 TVs, 1 washer, 1 dryer, 1 microwave, and 1 heater. This is our house outline. These are all of our appliances. And then this is our training manual. The fridge can remain on at all times, along with a couple of lights. We limit the use of high power appliances after dark to conserve energy, and then we use high power appliances during the daylight. Okay, so this is lab 1. Were the output currents of the PV module similar? Yes. 0.20 and 0.16 are very close. Were the output voltages of the PV modules close to one another? Yes, 0.2 and 0.15 are close to one another. For lab 2, how did the current produced in a series circuit compare to the current of an individual PV module? The current produced in a series circuit is the same as the current of an individual PV module. How did the voltage produced in a series circuit compare to the voltage of an individual PV module? The circuit produced in a series circuit is higher than the voltage of an individual PV module. What differences did you observe in the variables of the 2 light intensities? With the bright light, it produced more volts and amps, and the dim light didn't give the amount of power as the bright light. How does the light intensity affect the output of the PV array? It affects it because more intensity light produces more power. From the graph of your data, what is the relationship between the angle of a PV array to wattage produced? The graph shows that the degrees affect the voltage and that when the voltage is greater, it means more power. What is the relationship of wattage to distance from the light source? When the solar panel is further away, the less power is produced by the solar panel. What did you observe about the differences in your data? When you cover the solar panel, it takes in less power. What function did the silver strip perform in the PV array? The function of the silver strip in a PV array is to conduct all the electricity to a certain location. From your observation, what is the effect of concentrating the light on a PV array? The effect is that using the lens from different distances, it affects how much power the solar panel takes in. How does the cooling down of the surface of the PV array affect the voltage produced? It affects the PV array because the cold water cools down the array and therefore it produces less power. Why do you think this is? I think this is because the cold water decreases the temperature of the array. And then, how has current changed in parallel connections? The current in parallel circuit increases compared to while in series. How has the voltage changed in parallel connections? The voltage has remained relatively constant across each component in parallel connections, unlike in series where voltage is divided among components. Thank you for listening.